Welcome to Patrick's Fishing Show. On today's show, we will be talking about how to properly organize and stuff you'll need in a tackle box. Alright. Now, I'm going to first start my show by opening up the tackle box. Now, as you can see, I have a variety of things in my tackle box. First thing I'm going to pull out for you and explain is my soft baits. Now, these soft baits consist of small little buzz baits, small little crank baits, small little plastic minnows with a lead head, just the small stuff. So this stuff is mainly good for catching crappie and stuff. I like to keep this around because it just gives me a variety of things to work with. I'm not limited to one thing, so I mean, it depends upon what the weather is and to what the other days are. So, and another thing I like to do is just have everything where I know it's at. So on to my next piece of equipment. The next piece of equipment are my hard baits. These consist of jitterbugs. You see different shapes and sizes. Crank baits, the different bills on them. Top water baits and just deep water baits. There's a bunch of different things and sizes. I always like to keep the hooks like behind the hook or something. This way I don't get stabbed. You know, I'd rather not have blood on my fishing handle. The one thing, okay, when you're organizing a hook, let's say if you haven't fished within a year and like you have a bunch of old baits and stuff like that that are all rusty, it's a good idea to get rid of the either to replace the hooks on the lures or to just buy a new whole bait. You get some nasty diseases from rusty hooks. So on to my next thing. My next thing I'm going to talk about is hooks. Hooks are really important. Not either to just the ones that are pre-tied, but the ones that you can make your own lures out of. Like I used this one to put a plastic baits on them, or I'll make my own lures. So that's what I use this for. So it's a good idea to have different size and type of hooks. I mean, the different, like, best place to get them is just at your local store. So I'll get back to that one later. Now, the next one is very important when fishing different environments, different types of cold, warm water. Like right now, we got the spring fishing season coming up, so a good thing to use is sinkers. Sinkers are always a great idea. You have your different types of sinkers. You have your 1 ounce just lead here. This all it does is just drop right down, right to the bottom. Then you have another one where it's just a 2 ounce piece of lead, and it just drops right down with the hook. Now, keep in mind that the heavier it is, the faster it's going to fall, and the slower retrieve you're going to get. So just keep in mind that. And another one I use too with plastic baits is this is called a drop shot. What this is you put this on your line. Okay. This is primarily used with plastic baits and any other kind of baits. So all it does is it just puts a different spin on your techniques. Another one I like to fish if you're using live bait like worms or stuff like that, and like you're not getting it out there far enough, is snappers. All you have to do is just snap on the end of the line. You could always take it off, put it on, depending upon how you do it. So now, next thing I want to go through here is you have swivels. What swivels are used for are, it makes it easier to take on and off your lure, or let's see, your bait, because who here wants to have a tie-on bait? We just have to keep on tying it on. So what I do is I get bigger swivels for lures, put them to the eye, or I get smaller swivels if I'm fishing crappie or whatever. So good idea. And another thing I would kind of have too, if I really need it, is just a small little magnet in case I drop a hook somewhere or something I need to pick it up or I can't find it. Now, next thing I'm going to show you are my neat little spin baits. These are good in deep water where you really have to get out to the bass. So this is what this is good for. This comes in all different kind of shapes and sizes and stuff. So, and then, alright, next thing I'm going to go is through my plastic baits. Now my plastic baits are a variety of different type of plastic baits. You got your small little minnows to your big old lizards. Maybe one that doesn't have a hook in it. See, to your big old lizards. Then to your worms with the tails on them. So you have different varieties, shapes, and sizes. Then you have little minnows. Some, and you could buy anything. I found out for this just by experience that at beginning of spawn and stuff like that, if you use some Berkeley bass attractant like I have here, Berkeley power bait on your minnows, on your plastic bait, it really works well. So if you're thinking about investing in some stuff, this only costs $5. It's not that bad. I've seen others brands go for 10, 15, so it's a little hard to find in your local store. You may have to go to Cabela's or Bass Pro or a specialty shop. So they also have it in bass and trout, so if you're doing trout fishing. So I actually got some Berkeley Gulp stuff. This is really good when it's like late evening and night. Now, next thing I'm going to go through you is the variety of plastic baits here too. I always tuck it away too in case I forget something. See? So but plastic baits are really important when it comes to fishing. Always make it easy accessible. Now I'm going to start to go into the hardware stuff. The best thing for you to have to get out of fish's mouth, a hook, is just a pair of pliers. So pair of pliers are good just for crappie. If you're fishing deep water or charter or something, get some forceps. They're really good for if you have to go deep down a fish's mouth. Next thing, I think, if you're land fishing, which I find a lot of people do, especially I do, is just rod holder. You can just be sitting in your chair back relaxing, just watching a rod tip. So it's good. Now next thing I'm going to go into is your line. Your line's very important. You could have different pounds and tesses. You know what? How do you know which line is right for you? Well, the best line to buy is really not the cheapest, though. It has to be abrasion resistant. Because think about this: you're going to make hundreds of casts, and it's just not going to work a hill of beans if you're just wearing on that line and tugging it. All right, next thing I'm going to go through real quick is my bobbers. You have different types, shapes, sizes of bobbers. Like this bobber, top here will pull out, and you just put your line down in there, and then you would put this back in, click back in there, the line goes straight down through. Or you have another type. I have this for when it's like dusk out, it's starting to get dark, and it glows in the dark. It costs a couple bucks at your local stores. See, I have this one. It's really good for getting it out there. your different size of bobber really depends on what type of fish you're fishing. I found out that this bobber, the smaller ones, are good for crappie. The bigger ones, like so, are good for bass. The even bigger ones are this size are good for catfish. So every different kind of size. Now getting back to swivels. Alright, swivels are good for when you're doing heavy weights. So what swivels are is made up of steel. The leader on the end of them too. So that's what the technical name of it is. So it's good. This way your line won't easily snap when you cast a big thing out. So now next thing I'm going to really get into is good fisherman has a good pair of scissors. A good pair of scissors will do you well. Now another good thing is a tape measure. Always, like, say if you want to measure your fish or weigh it, good idea to have it. Now next thing I'm going to get into your rods and your reels. Now there are three main types I found out. Well, I know. You got your regular just spin cast or just closed face. Now this is good for the beginner fisherman. All he has to do is just this and back. Now for the more experienced fishermen, if you're I recommend doing a open face. Now this is really hard to do, so this will take some practice to do. These are best with a lighter rod on them, and that's just if you're fishing something heavy, that's what it's good for. This is not good in a windy condition, so maybe fishing on a boat. So I mean, if you watch it, fishing shows, you always see them using it. So, alright, on to my next reel. This is kind of for your intermediate fishermen. This is stuff that you really use to get it out there. This is called a open face reel, spinning. So it's really easy. Now, notice the cork. Notice that. See how dirty that is? There's one way to clean that. What you do is you get a little steel wool, alright, and just run it right down and forth, alright? See how clean it's getting it already? All you do is just run it down and forth. It gets the grease off the reel, all that nasty junk off the reel. So let's say if your reel breaks, alright? If you're out if you're out fishing, alright? Well, what are you gonna do? Well, I found out that good thing to have is a pair of wrench, screwdriver, both Phillips and flathead, and that's basically it. So another thing you really kind of need to do too is reel oil. I know you think it may be not important, though it's important if you're fishing with it a lot. So it's always great to oil your reels. Now to close my program, I just want to say thank you and goodbye. This has been a Patrick Panasco production. Thank you.